In a world where everything demands your focus, where every voice seems louder than the last, have we lost the power to choose what truly matters? The screen fills with chaos, a world spinning too fast. We see people on their phones, scrolling, endlessly, hypnotized by the next notification, the next headline. A constant, relentless stream of information, each fragment of data tugging at our consciousness. It's as if we've become prisoners to our own attention. But who holds the key to our freedom? And more importantly, who profits from our distraction? Cut to a shot of a person staring blankly at their phone screen. Their eyes flicker with anxiety. A constant barrage of messages, likes, retweets, and trending topics. But there's something unnerving about it all. A hollow emptiness in their gaze. What if everything we thought we knew about attention, about focus, has been manipulated? What if our obsession with being constantly in the know is the very thing that keeps us in the dark? We've all felt it, the pull, the pressure, the constant need to stay informed, stay connected, stay relevant. But in a world where everyone is shouting for a piece of your mind, how do you decide what's worth your time? The answer lies in a simple truth. The power of attention is one of the most precious commodities in existence. And yet we throw it away day after day as if it has no value. In doing so, we've lost something even more vital, the ability to focus on what truly matters. Is it possible to reclaim that power, to step away from the noise and rediscover our ability to think deeply, critically, and with purpose? The question is not only whether we can regain control, but whether we should. Because in a world where everyone is vying for a moment of your attention, the real question is, who decides what's worth your focus? The story of human civilization is not just a history of technological progress or political shifts. It's a history of attention. Who we pay attention to, who we listen to, and why we prioritize certain voices over others has always shaped the course of society. But as with all things, this shift in who commands our focus didn't happen overnight. In the early days of human civilization, attention was directed towards survival. The world was simple. Food, shelter, and safety were paramount. People listened to those who could provide these basic needs, and the elders, those with wisdom of the natural world, were the leaders. Information traveled slowly, word of mouth, stories passed down through generations. There was no constant bombardment. The act of paying attention was deliberate, focused. Time was slow, and so was thought. But as societies began to grow, so did the complexity of their structures. Political systems, trade, and culture all began to evolve, creating a web of interconnections. And with this came the need for control. Rulers needed subjects to follow orders. Leaders needed people to believe in ideologies. And so, the control of attention, the manipulation of focus, became a key tool in maintaining power. One of the earliest and most effective examples of this was the rise of the Roman Empire. The Romans understood the power of attention better than most. They didn't just conquer lands, they conquered minds. The concept of bread and circuses became a method of control. By keeping the masses entertained and distracted with games, gladiators and spectacles, the empire ensured that people would not focus on the more pressing issues of their lives, like the wealth disparity between the rulers and the ruled. By keeping attention diverted, they created a docile population, one more concerned with the next entertainment than the next election. As the centuries passed, the rise of the printing press in the 15th century was a turning point. For the first time in history, information could be mass-produced and distributed quickly and widely. Books, pamphlets, newspapers, these were the new forms of attention economy. The power of the press was not just in the dissemination of information, but in its ability to shape thought. The printing press democratized information, but it also made it more susceptible to manipulation. With more information came more opportunities for propaganda. The powerful few began to control the narratives, and the masses, though more informed than ever before, were left to sift through a flood of competing ideas. Who you listened to became just as important as what you were hearing. The 20th century brought about even greater shifts. With the invention of radio, television, and later the internet, the ability to broadcast ideas and opinions reached new heights. For the first time, mass media could be used to reach not just a nation, but the entire world. The great minds of the 20th century understood this power. Think of Edward Bernays, the father of public relations, who realized that by shaping the way people thought about products, celebrities, and even political ideas, he could shape the very fabric of society. Bernays wasn't just selling products, he was selling attention itself. Through techniques that mixed psychology and mass media, he turned public opinion into a commodity that could be bought and sold. His work became the foundation for modern advertising, and it marked the beginning of an era where attention could be cultivated, manipulated, and sold. But this was only the beginning. The rise of the digital age has transformed the way we consume information. Every scroll of a social media feed, every click of a link is a choice. But it's not our choice alone. We live in an era where algorithms, trained to understand us better than we understand ourselves, are deciding what we see. Social media platforms, search engines, and content creators have become masters at capturing our attention. The rise of influencers, viral videos, and clickbait headlines reflects a shift in how society measures value. It's no longer about the content itself, but about how well it can capture and hold our focus. And this shift has profound implications. The question isn't just about what we pay attention to, it's about who controls that attention. In the year, past kings, rulers, and states held the reins. But in the modern age, power has diffused. Now corporations, media moguls, and tech giants have taken over the role of determining what is worthy of our time. The landscape of control has expanded. It is no longer about the bread and circuses of ancient Rome. It's about endless scrolling, notifications, and ads designed to keep us hooked. This evolution of attention is not just a story of progress, it's a story of power. And in the modern world, attention is no longer a passive act. It is a battleground. What we pay attention to shapes our beliefs, our behaviors, and ultimately the world around us. As we look back at the rise of the masses, it's clear that the way we manage our attention is no longer just an individual act. It's a collective responsibility. The question we must ask ourselves today is, in a world where attention is currency, who are we really giving our power to? And more importantly, do we even know what we've lost in the process? This is not just a historical reflection, it is a present-day dilemma. As we move further into the 21st century, we are faced with a choice: to continue on this path, where our attention is fragmented, commodified, and controlled by unseen forces, or to reclaim that power, to question the narratives that demand our focus and ultimately to take back control of our minds. The story of our attention is far from over, but how it unfolds depends on what we choose to pay attention to now. In the modern age, attention has become one of the most coveted resources. But what is it about our psychology that makes us so susceptible to distraction? Why is it that despite knowing the dangers of overstimulation, we continue to feed into the very systems that fragment our focus? To understand this, we must first explore the psychological mechanisms that govern our attention. Human attention is not a simple process. It's a complex, intricate function of our brain, rooted in survival instincts. But now, it's being manipulated at unprecedented levels. At the most basic level, our attention was once designed for survival. The human brain evolved to focus on threats, anything that might disrupt our safety. This is why our attention is automatically drawn to sudden movements, loud noises, or unexpected events. It's not that we are inherently prone to distraction. Rather, we are hardwired to prioritize potential threats. This is a vestige of our primal ancestors, humans who lived in an environment where ignoring danger could mean death. But this ancient wiring doesn't always serve us well in the modern world. In today's society, threats are no longer limited to predators or physical harm. The dangers we face are far more insidious, often tied to societal pressures, the need for validation, and the endless race for success. We have transitioned from a world of physical danger to one of emotional and psychological tension. The constant influx of information, from news cycles to social media updates, is a form of noise. And like the loud noises or sudden movements of our primal environment, it demands our attention. This creates a paradox. Our minds are designed to give attention to whatever is most immediately stimulating, but that very stimulation often serves no real purpose. It provides us no greater sense of security or survival, but it does offer something more dangerous: distraction. Psychologists have long understood that human attention is a limited resource. Daniel Kahneman, a Nobel laureate in economics, highlighted this concept in his groundbreaking work, Thinking, Fast and Slow. Kahneman demonstrated that human cognition operates in two systems. System 1, the fast, automatic, and often subconscious part of our brain, and System 2, the slower, more deliberate and conscious part. System 1 thrives on the quick and easy. It's the part of us that reacts instinctively, following habits and shortcuts. On the other hand, System 2 requires effort and focus. It's responsible for our critical thinking and rational decisions. The challenge is that in an environment bombarded by stimuli, our System 1 is constantly being activated, often at the expense of the more reflective, deliberate System 2. This imbalance has profound implications. Every notification, every news flash, every click we make on a social media post feeds into System 1. It's designed to keep us hooked. The more we feed this system, the more it demands. We are trapped in a cycle where the brain constantly seeks that next hit of dopamine, the reward we feel when we get likes on a post or when we feel validated by a comment. This is not by accident. Social media platforms and tech companies have mastered this, designing algorithms that exploit our psychological weaknesses. They don't just feed us content, they feed us our own desires, our need for validation, and our craving for instant gratification. The concept of dopamine loops has become central to understanding why we keep returning to these platforms, even when we know it's not good for us. Every time we scroll, refresh, or check our notifications, our brain is wired to expect a reward. And when we receive it, a like, a comment, a share, it reinforces the behavior, making it harder to resist the pull of the next notification. What we're experiencing is an addiction, but it's not one that's easily recognized. It's not a substance, it's attention itself, shaped by algorithms, fine-tuned to ensure that we never look away. In fact, the psychology of attention has evolved so far that our brains are not just reacting to stimuli, they're expecting it. We've become conditioned to seek out noise. The ever-present buzz of information creates a sense of urgency, a feeling that we might be missing out, that we might be left behind if we don't stay plugged in. This feeling of fear of missing out, FOMO, keeps us engaged even when we know that the content we're consuming is ultimately trivial, disconnected from our real lives. But beyond the addictive nature of technology, there is something even more profound at play. Attention is not just about what we see, it's about what we believe. What we choose to focus on shapes our perception of reality. Think about the information we consume, the news, the opinions of others, the endless scroll of curated content on social media. Each piece of information subtly shifts our worldview. When our attention is constantly pulled in 1,000 directions, it becomes nearly impossible to form a coherent, stable sense of what is true and what is important. This is where the psychological power of manipulation enters the picture. When we are unable to focus on any one thing for long enough to critically evaluate it, we become vulnerable to the influence of others. In the political sphere, for example, attention is a tool of power. Politicians, media outlets, and corporations know that if they can capture your focus, if they can make you feel urgent, anxious, or angry, they can control your decisions, shape your beliefs, and ultimately manipulate your actions. But it's not just external forces that exploit our psychology. Our own minds often betray us. Cognitive biases like confirmation bias play a critical role in how we direct our attention. We tend to focus on information that confirms what we already believe. ignoring anything that contradicts our pre-existing views. This selective attention reinforces our biases and makes it harder to step outside of our echo chambers. So, why do we give power to the noise? Because our minds are built to react to stimuli, to prioritize what's loud and urgent, to follow the path of least resistance. We are not passive recipients of information. We are active participants in our own distraction, and the more we indulge in the noise, the more difficult it becomes to see the world clearly, to cut through the static, and to focus on what really matters. In the end, the psychology of attention is not just about our susceptibility to distraction, it's about our willingness to relinquish control. Every time we give our focus to something trivial or sensational, we allow ourselves to be shaped by forces beyond our control. It's time to question how much of our attention is truly ours, and what do we lose when we give it away so freely? His is the madness we face today. The more attention we give to the noise, the more we lose sight of what truly matters. And it's not just an individual problem, it's a societal one. When attention is hijacked, it spreads, contaminating entire populations, leading to misinformation, confusion, and division. We become pawns in a game we don't even realize we're playing. The consequences are clear. As attention shifts from long-term solutions to instant gratification, societies begin to break apart. The public discourse is no longer about solving problems. It's about keeping people distracted. The rise of populism, the corporate control of information, the endless cycle of consumption, these aren't isolated events. They are the results of a world where our attention is no longer ours to control. But the most chilling part of this whole narrative is this. The madness isn't just happening outside of us. It's happening inside our minds too. When we are overwhelmed by distractions, when we give up control of our focus, we lose something far more precious than time. We lose our ability to think clearly, to reason, to connect with one another. We lose our humanity. As a society, we must ask ourselves, what is the price of our attention? And more importantly, what happens when we stop giving it to everything? It's easy to think that by giving our attention to everyone and everything, we're making progress. After all, the more we focus on the world around us, the more we feel connected. But what if that constant focus on everyone else is the very thing that's holding us back? What if the sheer volume of information we consume is not expanding our minds but shutting them down? We live in a world where our attention is a commodity, a valuable resource that's being bought and sold by anyone who knows how to capture it. But here's the catch. The more we give it away, the less we have for ourselves. And the more we give away, the more the world around us starts to demand from us. We're bombarded by messages, opinions, and causes, each one fighting for our attention, pulling us in different directions. It's a cycle of distraction, one that's designed to make us feel like we have to care about everything, that we have to be informed on every topic, every debate, every crisis. But in trying to care about everything, we end up caring about nothing. Our focus becomes diluted, our energies scattered, and our minds overwhelmed. We lose the ability to truly engage with what matters. The tragedy of this modern world isn't that we're ignorant. It's that we're so distracted that we can no longer see the truth in front of us. We've allowed ourselves to be swept up in a tide of noise, so much noise that we can't even hear our own thoughts. So what do? How do we break free from this cycle? The answer, paradoxically, is simple. Stop giving importance to everyone. This doesn't mean abandoning empathy or ignoring the world's problems. It means focusing. It means choosing where we direct our attention, not letting anyone else dictate it for us. It means cutting through the noise and listening to the few voices that truly matter. Instead of being consumed by every breaking headline, we can decide to engage deeply with the issues that affect us directly. Instead of scrolling mindlessly through endless feeds, we can read, think, and engage with the things that nourish our minds. It's about reclaiming control over the most precious resource we have, our attention. The real power isn't in responding to every distraction or being a slave to every trend. It's in being selective about what we give our focus to. By choosing where to direct our energy, we protect our time, our mental clarity, and our ability to act on what really matters. The world around us will always try to grab our attention. It will always push and pull, demanding more and more. But we have the power to decide where we invest our attention, and by doing so, we can begin to shift the very dynamics of society. Imagine a world where people weren't distracted by every crisis, every scandal, every call for outrage. Imagine a world where individuals took the time to think deeply, engage meaningfully, and focus on the things that truly matter, not for the sake of others, but for the sake of themselves. This is the call to stop giving importance to everyone, to take back control of our attention and use it with purpose. It's time to step out of the noise, to listen to the voice within us, and to choose what is worth our focus. The world may demand our attention, but we are the ones who must decide where it goes. So the next time you feel pulled in every direction, ask yourself, is this worth my attention? And if not, let it go. For in that act of releasing what doesn't matter, we reclaim not just our time, but our very sense of self. It's time to stop giving importance to everyone. It's time to start giving importance to what truly matters.